All right, good morning, everyone. I am Mohammed Nuru, the director of the San Francisco Public Works Department. I want to begin by just thanking all of you for joining us to celebrate the completion of our new Office of Chief Medical Examiner's facility. Yeah. Just to acknowledge a few people who are joining us in attendance today. I see our fire chief, Joanne Hayes-White, is here. I see Commander Lazar is here, along with Commander Ewing from the police department. Of course, our sheriff, Sheriff Hennessy, who will be actually providing security at this facility. Tom Huey, the director of building inspection. I see Brian Strong, our resiliency officer, director. Nadia Sese from the Office of OCII, the Office of Community Engagement and Involvement. Yes. And of course, all of you, I just again want to say thank you. What a tremendous project this is. It brings me great joy to welcome this new addition to the city's infrastructure to Bayview Hunters Point, our neighborhood. This project has been in the works for a while, and we're glad to have it in Bayview. And not only is this facility a world-class facility, this facility has been delivered in a very fiscal manner and timely. And I think for me, one of the most important things that we like on a job, and it happened on this job, it was delivered with 100% safety record. Not a single injury, not one injury over the 2 years that this project was being built. This project is a voter-supported project, and it's, for us, is a once-in-a-generation, an opportunity to create a game-changing new home for the Office of the Medical Examiner. And as the construction manager on the project, I just want to begin by saying how proud we are from Public Works to be part of the team to deliver this project. And before I introduce our speakers, I want to just take this opportunity to just thank our Public Works team for all the great work that they did in delivering this project. That team was led by our city architect, Edgar Lopez. Several of our project managers, Ron Alameda, Charles Higueras, Magdalena Arroyo. I also want to thank our talented construction crew and construction company, Clark Construction, who did a very, very good job in delivering this. And of course, KMD Architects, the designers of the facility. And most important, our client and partner, Dr. Hunter and his staff. And I can tell you, like with all the projects in this city, none of them would be possible without the leadership of our mayor, Ed Lee, who, Ed, before he became mayor, was at the city administrator's office, and you will hear from the city administrator today also. But his commitment and his dedication to making sure that we invest in capital improvements, especially towards our infrastructure projects. And he has made that a top priority of his administration, and through his leadership, a lot of projects that the city desperately needs are actually happening. So I'm not going to say a lot about all the great things that Ed has done, but let's hear from him, our mayor, Ed Lee.
Why aren't you going to say a lot about what I've done? What's wrong with that? Well, let me say this. This is a fun day because a number of accomplishments are made, and I see our president, London Breed, who's here, just sitting down now, because she's so busy doing so many other things. But she found the time, and working in partnership with the board is really important when it comes to earthquake safety and emergency response. So let me give you the larger picture of why today is so celebratory important. We have to get ready for the big disasters. We've seen it happen. It's gotten really closer with the fires up north, and you realize how much things that could have been done to prevent that. But we also have the hurricanes in the south. We have man-made as well as natural disasters all over the world, in our country, and we study them. That's why so many participants today are part of our first responder agencies and personnel, because this facility is that important. When we were in recruitment and interviewing Dr. Hunter for this job as chief medical examiner, he asked, because he toured the original place. I'm sure he smiled at the recent news that we're getting as many people out of the Hall of Justice as possible. Well, buried in the basement has been Dr. Hunter's office for quite some time, and he smiled when he sat down with us and said, "You're going to help us build a brand new facility, right? Because you can't do the world-class modern toxicology laboratory work that this office is commanded to do. You can't have parents and families of people who want to know what happened on any incident be disrespected in the basement of the Hall of Justice, or sometimes waiting for weeks, in fact months, to have some dignity for what happened. You can't have sheriffs and other people waiting for the same reason. And you can't have less than professional standards operating in that office." And not only did we recruit one of the best in the country to head up the office, we informed and had that office. And this is why I enjoy working with Mohammed so much and the city administrator. We had his whole office and the chief medical examiner inform us about how to design this place adequately. That's why Edgar and the KMD architects are so important, because when you design the building with and for the professionals, you get a product that's going to be world-class when you involve them at the top. When you respond to the first responders' demands that we have a world-class facility, then you're going to get that. But the real conversation is this. With Supervisor Cohen's support, with the entire Board of Supervisors, the conversation started back in 2010, where we want that conversation with the public. What should we do better and be prepared better for? And they voted in a very strong, over 70% support for earthquake safety emergency response. And they did it twice, in 2010 and again in 2014, when we asked that all of our police facilities, our stations, our fire stations for our fire department, our emergency response facilities get upgraded to withstand a major shake. Now we have a world-class medical examiner's office that, for all the reasons I said earlier, the public can trust. And we did it, as Mohammed said, on time and on budget. That's why I invest in public works. When I want to get something done, our board and the mayor say, let's get public works to be in charge with our city administrator. We get the job done. We also get the job done when we work with our partners in labor. And I must say to the Carpenters Union, to the Laborers Union, thank you, thank you, thank you for making this such a safely built place, but also for your embracement of programs like City Build and Local Hire, because there are 44 individuals from San Francisco that helped build this facility with all of the work that Clark led on this project. That's a great milestone for the Bayview community. Because as the saying says around here, if the community don't build it, nobody builds it. And I know that that's a feeling that we accomplish right here in this building, and more of our public projects will always involve graduates of City Build, Local Hire, the community, because that's how we build things, is with our communities, with their own hands. Because it's not just this building, it's the downtown buildings, it's the Chase Arena for the Warriors. When people can say we built that, then 2010 and 2014 conversations with the public about general obligation bonds and all the other financial tools that we have to have our voters vote on, they'll be that much happier. When you finish this project, and I know our city administrator and I know our public finance officers are really happy, when we retire debt, then we create even more room for the next bond programs, and the public will put trust in putting their votes in on that. Not only did we do it in this fashion, as I said, we involved yet another agency that I think is becoming more and more important to the quality of work that we do in these buildings. That was our Art Commission. And our commission got the full 2% out of this public project. The full 2%. And I know Susan's really happy. She doesn't like the 1%, she likes the 2%. And she's done really well, because I haven't gone in and seen it yet, but we've honored, and I know Dr. Hunter is really joyful to honor somebody that he's known throughout the country, having been the historic medical examiner expert for the city, Dr. Boyd Stevens. And I know his own coat is somewhere in there, in some remnant, in some classic fashion of artwork. So we honor our historic leaders, as well as our art and art for people that will work here and people that will visit here. It is about infrastructure. It's about first responders. It's about the highest level of professionalism in the medical examiner world. It's about having a world-class forensic toxicology laboratory. That's a lot of scientific words. What it comes down to say is we need sometimes to know what really happened, and we need to have scientific approach to it so that our trust in our public knows what really happened to a person, for a family, or what happened in a major event. And we need to have it safely done in a building like this medical examiner building. ESER bonds are going to be important constantly, and when we build on time and when we build within the parameters that the public expects us to do, they're going to give us a lot more support for our public bonds and our public programs. So Public Works, City Administrator, to all of you in the way you did this, thank you very much. Let's get on with not only opening this and having people move out of the Hall of Justice as quickly as possible. If the courts were smart, they would not be at the state level, they'd be at the county level. So they got to get them out as well, because we need everybody to be out of the Hall of Justice, quite frankly. It's not a safe building. Everybody who works there knows that. So let's get on with building the world-class safe buildings for all of our staff. But ultimately, these are public buildings, and we want to respect every role that everybody plays. And when the event hits, we want everybody to be prepared. So don't forget your 72hour.org at the same time. That's what our DM wanted me to say while they're here. Thank you to Supervisor Cohen, to the Bayview community for supporting this. Not easy to have a medical examiner's office in your neighborhood. Sometimes people have a little issue with some of these public functions in their neighborhood, but this was embraced for the right reasons. We're going to have a lot more people down here who will be active in creating a higher level of safety for everyone, and I want to thank our police department. We got a couple of our officers at SF General right now. I pray for them for a quick recovery. They're doing the great work that we asked them to do. Community policing ain't easy. It ain't easy these days with the opioid epidemic, all the other things that perhaps sometimes the medical examiner is going to be engaged with. But we need to support our public safety agencies because they're doing a darn good job to keep us safe. Thank you, everybody, for supporting this. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Lee. I see Ken Bukowski out there. He was definitely instrumental in making sure that all the monies we needed were there on time and to be able to do the project. Please thank him for his contribution to this. And I also see our real estate director, John Updike, also, who has been very helpful in many of the projects that the city has been implementing. So thank him also. And I know you heard the mayor talk about those 44 individuals from the community that were able to work on the job. Those 44 people actually represent more than 30% of the workforce that actually worked on this job. So, I want to give a good congratulations and thank Clark for really accepting and giving our residents an opportunity to build something in their own back door. It gives them jobs and they're able to take care of their families. And I know, as you heard the mayor, it takes a village. And so there's a lot of people who are involved in making these projects happen. And at this time, I'm going to welcome our president of our Board of Supervisors, London Breed, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really excited to be here today. When I first became a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, I would get emails and phone calls from people who were trying to find out exactly what happened when their loved ones would pass away. They wanted closure. They wanted to know what happened. And because of the facilities that the medical examiner was in, we were almost at risk of losing our accreditation. This is why this building was so important to build. This is why we needed to move quickly. And yes, as the mayor said, we need to move more rapidly in getting people out of the Hall of Justice because we know that no one should be in that building. Here we are, a step closer to removing one of our departments, at least, out of that building and into an incredible state-of-the-art facility. Members of the public, sadly, who sometimes lose their loved ones in the city, will have to make that journey to this particular place in order to find out exactly what happened. And the great news is that they will have a warm, welcoming, beautiful facility, incredible public art. And I think that the staff is going to probably feel a lot better, too, working under these conditions. So I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about what's to come. I think this is a step in the right direction. I wish it was raining money all over the place so that we can do this for every city department that we know needs to be out of the Hall of Justice. And I bet all the people shaking their heads right now actually work in the Hall of Justice. We're going to get to each and every one of you because here in San Francisco, we're really fortunate, as the mayor said, to have such generous voters. People who say, when we put something on the ballot, they support it. They know that it's the right thing to do. The infrastructure projects, all of the things that we need to do to not only make sure that our city is working today, we need to make sure that it's working for generations to come. Yes, we're all upset over the congestion. Yes, we don't like Van Ness Avenue right now and a couple of other places, but at the end of the day, it's going to be even better. This is an example of what we can accomplish when we come together to make these projects work for San Franciscans. So thank each and every one of you. Thank you to Department of Public Works, to Clark, to all the folks from this community who had an opportunity to work right in their backyard. This is really amazing for the city today. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Supervisor Breed. Next, we're going to hear from our city administrator. Our city administrator actually chairs our capital planning committee, and when these projects get delivered or when they get conceived, they actually go through a very serious vetting process that involves several departments, and it's a whole process to approve them, and it is through her leadership that these projects are actually able to happen. When we work on these projects, when we have challenges or we have concerns, we always have to make sure the city administrator knows what happens. We're very thankful to the voters, but there's only so much money, and so we have to finish these projects on time and on budget, and under her leadership, we've delivered another one. Welcome, Naomi Kelly, our city administrator.
Thank you, Mohammed. Well, I don't know if anyone said it yet, but welcome to the new medical examiner facility. And you've heard Supervisor Breed and the mayor talk about the Hall of Justice, and this is definitely, we are trying to decant the Hall of Justice so we can demolish that building. And I was watching the historic movie Bullet with Steve McQueen in the late 60s, and they filmed a lot of the scenes in the medical examiner facility. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, nothing has changed 50 years later. I don't even know if there was an upgrade or a renovation. It is exactly the same. And just think how much we've evolved over 50 years. New technology. We've actually gotten a little bigger around the waist, so the facilities were for skinnier people. is, it's definitely an aging, undersized, and did not meet operational standards. So this really started, it was a project that's near and dear to the city administrator's heart. It started for me circa 2013 when I was working with Brian Strong to get this facility to be part of the ESER program for ESER 2014, and with Nadia Sase, who was then the director of public finance. And we were successful in convincing our capital plan colleagues to put this as part of the 2014 ESER bond, which went to the voters. And it was a $65 million bond, and I must thank the Board of Supervisors, the mayor, the voters, because they voted for us to move forward with the financing to bring this state-of-the-art facility. So I want to just thank all of you for that. So we hit the ground running in 2014, and which you all may or may not remember, I had an interim director of the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. He was not a doctor. He was not a forensic pathologist. He wasn't a toxicologist, but he was a great administrator while we started the international search to find Dr. Hunter, and that was Ken Bukowski. And Ken and Christopher Wirewick, who does not get a lot of credit here because this really is a labor of love for Christopher. Ken and Christopher started those meetings with KMD and started the designs, and that allowed me to go forth in working with Public Works and their team to continue on my recruitment. And that's when we found Dr. Hunter, and he came in 2015, and I'm telling you, we found you just in time, Dr. Hunter, because we tried our best, but when he came in, his input into this facility just made it, I think when you go on the tour, you'll see what a state-of-the-art facility it is and how lucky we are to have this building. And it was a lot of your great input. So thank you, Dr. Hunter. When you tour the facility, Supervisor Breed touched on it, the family room. I mean, this is a time when you are grieving, especially if when families who come here, it's usually an unanticipated death. So you're in shock, and the family room in here compared to what was at the Hall of Justice is just, it will change the experience. It will try and be more comforting and warming to what you're already going through. And then for those who are squeamish like myself, at the Hall of Justice, I would take circuitous routes to get into the building to make sure I didn't see anything that would make me pass out. The flow of this facility is excellent, and like I said, all of you will be very impressed when you go on the tour. I want to thank Clark, Public Works, the Contract Monitoring Division, and City Build, because if you heard the mayor and Director Nuru say that we hit all types of goals with our local business enterprise goals and our local hiring goals. 6,100 working hours of local residents on this building, half of them from the Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood. 30% of the construction crews were from San Francisco. I just want to thank all of you for your leadership to providing jobs in this city. So thank you very much, and enjoy the tour.
Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there. I mean, as I hear Naomi speak, I just remember the days, when I first started working for the city. One of my jobs was to maintain the Hall of Justice. And I can tell you that facility, with the news that we just heard, with the leadership of the Board of Supervisor and the mayor, that we're all moving out of there and delivering this facility. But one thing at Public Works that we take very, very important is to work closely with our client and make sure that we deliver the state-of-the-art project that our clients expect to have. And leading that effort is our Chief Medical Examiner, Dr. Hunter. Please come up and speak.
Yeah, this is a very special day for the Medical Examiner's Office. We are moving into a new state-of-the-art facility. So a lot of our staff members are here today. Everyone's excited from the office, and they really should be. This is an amazing place. I want to thank you all for joining us today, being here for the San Francisco Chief Medical Examiner ribbon cutting event here in Bayview, Herons Point. The facility approved by the San Francisco voters was once again will once again allow San Francisco to maintain our own sense of preparedness and resiliency. The new seismically safe facility will enable the city to be at the very forefront of forensic sciences and allow us to fulfill the mission that we have to the citizens of San Francisco today and long into the future. And that's what this facility is going to allow us to do. I want to thank Honorable Mayor Ed Lee and City Administrator Naomi Kelly for their vision. Without their level of dedication, we would simply not be here today. And it's important that we are here today. It's important that this facility is present and we can work in a very straightforward, scientific way here in this new wonderful place. I'm also very impressed with the amount of dedication and hard work of Mohammed Nuru's team at San Francisco Public Works, shepherding this project from just infancy to completion, and that's what we have here today. I would like to recognize two individuals that were dedicated to this project and really did get us to where we are today. They worked very closely with me, and the finer points of this building, I think, is due to that interaction. I do want to. Is Magdalena Ryer in the crowd? Okay. Magdalena was the facilities project manager who worked closely with myself, the staff, to assure that the design and the construction of the facility was completed as desired. Completed as desired meaning, and that's not an easy thing to do. You know, we want this facility to be functional now and functional in the future. We want it to work. So we were arm in arm with Public Works, and Magdalena did a fantastic job making this happen. I think this is an example of that. I'd also like to recognize a member of my staff, Christopher Wyrick, who's my Director of Operations. And Christopher is right next to Magdalena over there. And at this point, I suspect that a lot of you in the crowd know Christopher. If you had anything to do with this project or had anything to do with coordination, move, you know who Christopher Wyrick is. He has been dedicated to the office. You know him as a fierce advocate for the office of the medical examiner, and he's worked tirelessly from the early stages of the building design to construction and finally to coordination to make sure that this all comes together and works cohesively. I cannot fully express my gratitude to Christopher other than say thank you very much for a wonderful job. And lastly, I wanted to thank the residents of the city and county of San Francisco for making this facility possible. Thank you, San Francisco.
Let's give another hand to the medical examiner's office. They work hard jobs. I mean, these are tough jobs. Okay, our last speaker is from the San Francisco Public Art Program. When we do projects in the city, we are required to set aside some funding for art, and I think it's a very good policy because when we do these buildings, you're able to also add some beauty and some art to the project. And speaking on behalf of the Arts Commission today is Susan Pontius, who will tell us a little bit about the art in the building. And when you get to tour it, it is beautiful, beautiful art that reflects the neighborhood and reflects San Francisco. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Save the best to last. We're really lucky to live in a city that values art to beautify its public spaces like San Francisco. But many of you, to be blunt, may be asking, what is the role of art in the morgue? Many members of the public, when they come to, are here in the midst of recent and deep grief with no interest in art. Yet research has shown that art and design have a profound effect on creating emotionally supportive environments, and that certain kinds of imagery can reduce stress and anxiety. This was our very special goal from the very onset of this project. Our goal was to select art that contributes to a sense of calm, peace, and tranquility. It is part of the way that the city expresses compassion, and we are really proud to be a part of that effort. And I know all the artists who participated are also proud to be part of that effort. So as you enter the lobby, the first piece you'll see is by Merrill Axelrod, who has created, is Merrill here? I think, yes, Merrill is right there in the purple sweater. And she has created a beautiful fabric collage inspired by the salt marshes and wildlife of India Basin. The work was created with thousands of pieces of fabric that the artist has carefully arranged, pinned, and sewn together. And I invite you to take a close look. It's really amazing. And some of the fabric that is in the birds is, as Mayor Lee mentioned, was from a jacket worn by Dr. Boyd G. Stevens, who served the city of San Francisco for over 30 years as the chief medical examiner. There's also a collection of framed artworks on the walls of in the publicly accessible areas of the building. And these works are all by San Francisco Bay Area artists, inspired by the unique beauty and scenes of the Bay Area. The artists are in the collection, and I ask you to raise your hand if you're here. Susie Barnard, who I know studio, right behind me there, right there, whose studio is in the Bay Bayview. Elaine Coombs, over there. Stanley Goldstein, Burl Landau, there's Burl, and Alan Mazzetti. They're way in the back. And coming soon to the landscaped area right behind me will be a large-scale sculpture entitled Alma by sculptor Richard Deutsch. I don't know if Richard's here today. The stainless steel sculpture is inspired by the full sails of Alma, a flat-bottomed schooner built in 1891 by Fred Seymour in his shipyard in Hunters Point. At 22 feet tall, it will help identify this facility as a civic building and provide a major art asset to the community. I also want to give thanks to the artists for all their great work, and I especially want to thank project manager Mary Chu from our office, who was on the front lines, making sure all of this work, coordinating all of this work to get into the building. And I also want to thank our other staff from our Arts Commission, Jennifer Lavorne, who's our senior project manager, and Jennifer Crane Doyle, who's also here, one of our registrars. And I also want to thank the great help from Magdalena Rohr from DPW, the project manager, and Christopher Warwick for all of their support in helping us realize this project. Thank you very much.
Okay, so at this time we are going to cut the ribbon, and after the ribbon cutting, the facility will be open for tours for just 1 hour. So we will go from 12 to 1. So if you're available or you have some time, I would encourage you to walk through it. It is a very, very beautiful state-of-the-art facility, from just seeing how things work through, how things flow, to all the labs that are up there and all the capabilities that what this modern lab will do to us. So thank you very much for coming out today. I just really appreciate it, and we look forward to delivering more projects on your behalf. Thanks.
Countdown.
Ready?
After 10,
9,